Fred Batten speaking on behalf of A Real Chance, Inc. I wanted to thank everybody for taking the time to take our short survey to give us our points on what we want to try to give information on this time. Obviously, most of you feel that the welfare system needs change, but does assist a few. The prison system definitely needs change. They should be helping prisoners within inside a prison, training them for existing jobs and employment. I'd like to speak a little bit about what happens in prison, what they don't get, what they do get. If you ever get a chance to see the movie Felon, it gives you the best depiction of what prison life really is for the person that is in prison, for how they really feel and how they really think. My advice is take a look at that movie. The other thing is, when we go into prison, we leave everything behind. We lose everything. But the big thing is, we have no training. You sit there, you work for less than 20 cents an hour for the most part. Maybe 23 cents an hour. Very humiliating, degrading, makes you feel even worse. Then when it's time to come out of prison, this is where everything starts to get tricky. They have these programs called re-entry programs. For prisoners that have families, they definitely do not want to go into these programs. And only about 25% of the people do want to go in these programs, and most of them were homeless prior to going into prison. When you look at these programs, most of them take a prisoner out of prison and put them back into a facility where they're locked down for an extra 2 months. They don't even get to see their families, don't get to communicate, don't get to have their loved ones. The one thing that they're looking for their entire time that they're locked up and they're wanting, their family back. So they come out with these hopes of training. These programs give them what I call slave labor. It gives them the opportunity to work for these jobs, driving a truck. Very small little companies will hire an ex-parolee to drive their trucks full of stuff, not knowing what's going to happen. Then you have catering services. How many men are actually going to come out of prison to work catering services? Or landscaping. These jobs are very minimal jobs for the most part, and they're meaningless jobs for these people. These men and women come out of there and they go into these programs to be taught this. They make no money off of what they're doing, but they're actually doing services. They're committing services to the public where the organization that's behind it receives all the funds. Now these people come out of there 6 months later with training in meaningless jobs that there aren't enough for them to even have. And within a certain period of time, the majority of them are back in prison. Why? Because they haven't been taught any life skills. They haven't been taught how to help anybody, mainly themselves. If they could help themselves or even knew how to deal with society, it would help them a great deal. But when you're locked up behind bars, time stops for you. Even though outside, it keeps evolving. Time keeps changing. Economics change. Society changes. But while you're behind the bars, it's still how it was when you were locked up. So when you walk out to society, the first thing prison does, in California at least, they give you a $200 check. Now as a prisoner, what are you going to say? Honey, I got $200. I really can't do anything for you? Or most of them say, I got to make more than that $200. I got to be worth something. Even the ones that don't have a family, they're even more prone to do it than the ones that do. They take this check straight to a drug dealer's house, pick up drugs because that's what the majority of them know how to do, thinking that they're going to be able to sell this to make more money so they have more than 1 day's worth of living. $200 gives you what? A motel room, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and you're done. You're broke. The next day, you're out trying to figure out how you're going to live. This is a catch the prison puts on you. Now, thanks to the president, he's put a priority on re-entry programs. They need to find a new way to do it. A Real Chance, Inc. has a way to do it. We actually want to take families, not just prisoners, and give the families a chance. We want to develop their life skills, their ability to support themselves first. Give their children a worth, that they're actually still worthwhile. And then when the prisoners come out, the prisoners will have a chance to go through these same programs to develop their employment skills, their life skills, their ability to support themselves and their families, to feel better about who they are and what they're doing. This isn't an easy process. It's going to take a while, and it's going to take a lot of your backing. The public needs to stand up and say something about this. If all we do is sit quietly, nothing's ever going to change. I want to read some of the things that I picked up yesterday off the Justice Department's website. It's saying in 2008, that over 1.6 million inmates were in state and federal prisoners. That's both male and female. That's 1 out of every 198 United States residents. Another statistic that caught my eye were a quarter of the adults existing on parole in 2008. 133,947 individuals returned to prison as a result of violating their terms of parole. 9% on top of that were back in prison on new convictions. These are outstanding statistics. All this is based upon what they don't learn. Now, a lot of people go into prison because they have drugs and substance abuse problems. Only 9 to 17% get assistance while inside a prison for substance abuse, when over 80 to 90% of the people in there have that type of problem. And then the substance abuse programs that they're taught are teaching you that you're a drug addict. That's all their problem is, drugs. When the reality, it's not drugs. Drugs are what keeps you going so you can keep the adrenaline up to play the game of the street, to be out there and hustle, to feel like you're getting over. And it's a feeling that actually makes people tingle. It makes them feel good. But they can do that in real life. They don't need to be doing that in prison. They don't need to be trying to find it by using drugs. I find it now by trying to do this business, by trying to help these people, by everybody telling me, no, this is impossible. No, you can't do this. Nobody wants to back these families. They're useless. But when we look at it, we send, what, $35 a month to another country to feed Ethiopians that live in the middle of a dry, hard land? That we don't move to an area where they can grow their food. We'd rather spend billions of dollars a year of our United States money by donating it to these foreign countries. Do we realize what's really happening in our own country when 1 in every 198 people are locked up in prison? Here's another statistic. 2 in 5 prisoners or jail inmates lack a high school diploma or even equivalency. There's no programs to give them that. Yes, in most prisons there's a GED program, but while you're in prison and the other inmates pressure you. They joke with you, they put you down. When they have a bad day with their family, or their family doesn't write or call, or doesn't answer their call, sometimes then people get really seriously hurt over this. Another remark is an estimated 108,000 people, 800 prisoners, this is in mid-2007, were parents of children under 18. 52% of state inmates and 63% of federal inmates reported an estimate of 1,706,600 minor children under the age of 18. That's been rising and has rose to 77%. 2% or 22% of the state inmates say they have children under the age of 4. And 16% of federal inmates say they have the children under the age of 4. 53% of state under the age of 9. 50% of inmates of federal under the age of 9. These are astounding. I don't know all these numbers until I did this research. How much these affect the children. And just realize how many of these children. It's almost like 5 times the amount these children have the ability to go back into prison themselves, not understanding how to deal with things, not understanding how to cope with these problems. I want to leave you with this, and I'll see you next week. This is Fred signing off. Thank you, and have a great day.